Today I'm going to be showing how I taught my horse to pick up her feet. The horse I'm working with today is Trinity, a 9-year-old Mustang mare. She had been taught previously in the past how to pick up her feet, but when I got her, I was told that that really wasn't something she would do or was okay with anymore. So this is my first time working on it with her. And I just start by kind of assessing where she's at by going right at it. And as you see here, she's really not a fan of that and she starts moving away from me. So I go ahead and I reassure her a little by petting down her front leg a few times, and that settles her enough that she lets me pick it up. But that does kind of let me see that while she's not dangerous about it, she definitely needs to work on it. This was my first time trying on this side, and I was pretty impressed with her and how quickly she realized what I was asking. I did start with petting down her leg, and as you can see, she starts licking and chewing, so I take a little break and pet her for a second, just kind of reassure her that that's what I'm wanting of her. And then when you see in just a minute, when I go to pick it up, she honestly does a really good job with it. Here's where I'm about to start working on her back hoofs. Well, I do start with ground tying for her front hoofs to add an extra level of safety. When I'm first working on doing her back hoofs, I am going to hold the lead rope in such a way that if she were to get a little dangerous, I would be able to turn her to keep myself in the safest position possible. And as you can see, picking up her back hoofs is definitely something that we need to work on. Thankfully, she's not dangerous about it at all. She's just moving off the whole time, unsure about me touching her lower legs. So I just I follow her, try to stay with her. She started to get out of the frame of the camera, so I step her back up where you can see, and then I ask her to stand again. And then I just repeat that a few more times. I am taking the time to go slow and pet her as I go down her leg just to reassure her, because obviously it's less of an attitude and a lot more of unsureness. So I'm basically treating this as if she had never picked up her back hoofs before, and definitely taking my time to help her work through this and set her up for success. At this point, I realized she was out of the camera's frame a lot, so I kind of reset the camera up so that you could see what I was doing the whole time, because I realized that this would be a good lesson to show. I realized that this video is a good bit longer than my typical ones I make, but because we are working through an issue, I wanted to show more of a real time and how long it took us to work through it and some of the issues we faced. So I've cut out almost zero footage of what we did working through it. As you can see here, this was the first time she let me pet all the way down to her hoof without trying to move off. So I go ahead and I really make it a noticeable break for her. I stop working on it for a minute and I really pet her and encourage her and give her the opportunity to think about it. And as you can see, she licks and chews and puts her head down and really relaxes. And here's where I start again, and just look at the difference she has here. Not only does she let me pet all the way down, she doesn't try to move at all and lets me pet several times all around her hoof without an issue. Obviously, that is what I'm wanting, so I again give her a little break, pet her, rub on her, and just try to make it as obvious as possible what it is I'm wanting, especially for horses that have an issue with something. You really want them to understand what you're asking. Here I try again. Not only does she not move off, she even lets me pick it up while standing there perfectly still. So, super proud of her. That was amazing progress. And again, she gets that well-deserved break. Here I try one more time on this side, this time dropping the lead rope to ground tie her instead of holding it. And I couldn't have asked her to do it better, so we quit on this side and move on to work on the other side. What I have found to be consistently true is that while you may not immediately see the results on the other side, as you see she moves off at first here, if you can be very clear on the first side what you are asking, they will pick it up a lot quicker when you're working on the second side. So as you can see, she moved off a little bit here. When she stopped still, I gave her a little break just to, again, reiterate what it is I'm wanting. And then when I go to try again, she lets me pet all the way down. And then as you'll see in just a minute, on only our third time trying on this side, she doesn't move, lets me pet all the way down her leg and even pick it up. At this point, because she had done so good, I gave her about a 2-minute break, reset up the camera because I honestly thought she would do good with all 4 hooves. And as you can see, she does great with the first one, which I was super proud of. But this is where it gets a little interesting, and I thought it was important to include. When I go to pick up her back hoof, she takes a few steps. Not that big of a deal. It's just obviously we weren't quite as good as I thought we were. I just kind of stayed with her. I picked it up, and then because I really want her to know that when she is ground tied, that means you stay still. After I pick her foot up, I reset her, as in I put her right back where she started, and then I try again. At this point, she had done it 2 more times. And so I went ahead and I put the lead rope up over her back because I wanted to not let her just walk off. I could have a little bit more control of where she was because she wasn't doing as good. And at this point, because she had gotten worse, instead of just following her when she took those extra steps, I actually put more pressure on her and I asked her to move even more, which actually ended up really helping because you can see she kind of thought about it, ended up licking and chewing, and then as you'll see in this next part, after I reset her, when I go to pick up her feet, she actually stands perfectly still and lets me. Which I think is an important thing to point out. Sometimes, especially working with wild or problem horses, you can get caught up in trying to reassure them a little too much, when in reality sometimes adding a little bit of extra pressure and making the move can actually end up helping them, because who knows how long it could have taken me working through that again, whereas just asking her to move that one circle was enough that she stood perfectly still and let me pick up all 4 hoofs with no issue, technically ground tied even though it was over her back. And because she did so good, I was able to quit there and ended up putting less pressure on her because we didn't have to work on it so long than if I had taken it easy the whole time and it taken us another 15 or so minutes to work through this. But here I'm just, again, patting her, loving on her, letting her know she did the right thing, even though she doesn't love attention. And that's where we quit for the day.